Okay, so apparently I missed something. Apparently, in all the years that Avatar, The Last Airbender was out, it came out like 20 years ago. I've watched every episode of it more than once. I really did like the series, everything. But apparently, I missed something because it seems for some reason I was unaware that Avatar, The Last Airbender was some kind of female empowerment something or another. Honestly, I apparently didn't know that because apparently no other show ever did that before. Understand me? I don't know what kind of craziness ScreenRant trying to do here, but let me get into it and you'll understand what I'm talking about. This article here. 20 years later, Avatar The Last Airbender is still so revolutionary for one very important reason. And what is that reason, you may ask? Well, let's find out. When Avatar The Last Airbender premiered on Nickelodeon in 2005, it was immediately clear the show was something special, yes? With its rich world building, complex moral themes, yep, and anime-inspired animation, it stood out against the backdrop of other children's programming of its time, yep. But even more than its creative ambition or layered storytelling, Avatar did something quietly radical, okay? Especially for a Western animated series made for kids. It reimagined what strength looked like and more importantly, who got to be strong. Well, there were benders and benders were strong, so not really sure what's going on. And there were even people who weren't benders and they were strong, so I don't know what's going on there, but all right. 20 years later, it is easy to look back on Avatar as a technical and narrative triumph. But what truly made the series revolutionary was its portrayal of female power, and not just in the presence of strong girls, but in the dominance of women as the most powerful non-Avatar characters across all four nations. I don't think that's true. In a media landscape where gender equality was still rare in children's shows, Avatar did not break the mold, it remade it. The question now is, has anything since lived up to that standard? So you're trying to say that Azula was somehow a role model? I mean, Azula was crazy. She wasn't a role model for anything. Continue. In Avatar, each of the four nations had its own unique style of bending, be it earth, water, fire, and air. And in every case, the most formidable master, aside from the Avatar, was a young woman. No, that's not true. This was not a coincidence. It was a pattern, and one that subverted the norms of most action adventure stories at the time. Azula, for instance, was not just a firebending prodigy. She was terrifyingly brilliant, dangerous, and complex, outclassing nearly every male firebender in the show, including her brother Zuko. Her presence challenged assumptions about who could embody raw destructive power in a kid's show. Okay, yes, Azula was very talented and she was a badass, but she was also crazy, deranged, manipulative, evil. That's what it is. And yes, she was a powerful bender, but she wasn't like the most powerful bender. I mean, if she tried to go up against her father, he would kick her ass. That was a given. You understand me? Because let's not forget, you understand me, that her father fought the Avatar, right? And it's only when Aang went into the Avatar state, that's when he started to kick his backside. But I mean, come on, yes, Azula is a powerful bender, but to act like, she is somehow the most powerful or some kind of role model. Azula was a psychopath. That is ridiculous. Katara likewise grew from a determined novice into the most powerful waterbender of her time. Yeah, I don't believe so, because there was the other waterbender from the Northern Water, Master Power, whatever his name is, and he was quite skilled. You understand me? We never really got to see all the other water benders, but Katara is a powerful bender. I'm not saying no, we just never got confirmation that she was the most powerful. She did learn blood bending, but you know what? All right, she was a powerful bender. I just don't think she was the most powerful bender, but okay. She did not inherit greatness. Instead, she earned it through hard work, mentorship, and lived experience. Yeah, that's kind of true for all of them. Her final confrontation with Azula in the series finale was not only a battle of technique, but also a symbolic clash between two expressions of female strength, between control, empathy, and ruthless ambition. And unlike many series where female characters are sidelined during pivotal moments, Katara was integral to the show's climax, solidifying her status as a narrative equal to Aang and Zuko. Nobody has ever denied the fact that Katara was important, and that's why the character was so nicely done and so well received. You understand me? As much as Katara was caring and all of that, she still had nothing, because I mean, she went with Zuko to find the man who killed her mother to kill him. You understand me? She had to go through that whole thing. And when you talk about how how battle confrontation with Azula. Zuko was fighting Azula in one of the most beautifully done Agni Kai. You understand me? And when he got injured trying to protect her, Katara then, evaded Azula and then used the water to trap her in ice and then chained her down. So it's not to say like she had some brilliant confrontation with her with all of that. I mean, no. Come on. Tough Beifong, of course, turned the archetype of the delicate girl on its head. A blind earthbender who invented metal bending, Tough was not just strong for a girl, she was the strongest, period. Her confidence, sarcasm, and independence shattered expectations, especially in a genre where male characters were more often cast as the rough and tumble fighters. Okay, no denying that, yeah, Toph was the most powerful earthbender of her time. We never got to see her and Boomy square off. It happened in the comics, but not in the series, and in the limited series here. Toph was the best, and that's the thing about it. Toph whole thing about how, she was seen as this delicate little girl, but she was so freaking amazing. I mean, when you first saw her at that battle with the boulder, that was bloody amazing and absolutely cool. And anybody liked Toph. They liked Toph. I mean, even people that I know who didn't initially like Avatar, when they started to watch it, they didn't have any interest in it, started to watch it, though they really did like the show and they really do like Toph. So yeah, Toph is an exception, and I think she was a cool character. That's what made her really interesting. Then in the legend of Korra, Jinora, who was quiet, bookish, and spiritual, became the youngest airbending master, not through brute strength, but through wisdom and spiritual depth. Okay? Each of these girls represented different forms of power, collectively showing that strength is not a one-size-fits-all concept. And the thing about it is that they never mention Korra in this. They never mention Korra. And like I say, I'm not a fan of Korra. Right? I don't like the Legend of Korra. I understand that what happened with it is that they only planned to do one season, and then Nickelodeon wanted more, so that's why they came up with the crap that they kind of got. But I never liked Korra. Didn't dig the character at all, and they never mention her here because my opinion, Korra was just Korra. I don't really care either way of whatever it is. When Avatar aired, strong female leads in Western children's programming was still more the exception than the rule. Shows like Powerpuff Girls or Kim Possible had started to push boundaries, but Avatar went beyond token representation. Powerpuff Girls is a show about three little girls that with superpowers that beat the crap out of everybody. Male, female, monster, you name it. Kim Possible could literally do the impossible. That was Kim Possible's whole thing. So I don't know what you're talking about token representation. This is just nonsense. It did not just give girls a seat at the table, it gave them the head of the table in nearly every elemental discipline. This level of narrative commitment to female strength was virtually unprecedented in a boys' targeted action series. This is ridiculous. Avatar was Avatar. Yes, I mean, I know women who watch Avatar and like it. I know girls who watch Avatar and like it. My sister likes Avatar. She likes it. She even liked the first season of Korra, and then she kind of got fed up by it along with the rest of us. But still, she likes Avatar. And at no point ever anybody ever sat there and say, oh, it's female representation. I think, listen, Azula is crazy. She's not to be anybody's role model. Katara was a good, complex, and interesting character, but she wasn't like some all-powerful bending master. No. Toph was a badass, and we all like Toph for that. You understand me? And yes, Jinora became an airbending master, but she was young, okay, good. But that was like, it was like anybody was really keeping track of all of that, to be honest with you. Come on now, man. Unlike many shows of its time, Avatar: The Last Airbender refused to define its girls by love interest or support roles. The girls in Avatar were not sidekicks, they were leaders, creators, revolutionaries. Okay? Aang and Katara had a thing. When Azula went to the beach with her friends and there were some guys hitting on her friend and not her, she got damn jealous and tried to do a lot of crazy stuff. Even when she met some guy that she liked, she pretty much showed that what an evil psycho she was, and that drove him off. I'm not sure about anything with the creators. The one who was creative was Sokka. Revolutionaries, well, yeah, they were kind of fighting against the Fire Nation along with their male counterparts. So, okay, but you're this kind of trying here. Even the show's villains like Azula or Mai and Tylee had depth and inner conflicts that that weren't reduced to stereotypes. Yeah, it kind of was. Because Azula's whole thing is that she was perfect at stuff, but she had serious mental problems. And when her friends turned negative, because she literally kept them around out of fear. Mostly they started off as her friends, but then she literally had to use fear to keep them in line and all kind of thing. And then when she broke mentally, you kind of saw what's going on there. That's kind of a normal trope they try to use as a lot of them. You understand me? My entirely has stuff. I mean, like me literally, she literally, betrayed Azula and stuff because of love. So I don't get what they're trying to say here. This complexity meant that viewers, especially young girls, could see themselves in a variety of roles, from warrior to scholar to spiritual guide. What makes Avatar's achievements more notable is that it predates the major wave of gender-conscious media that would follow in the 2010s. Okay. Before Frozen redefined princesses and Steven Universe made emotional complexity a centerpiece of animated storytelling. Okay, here's the thing about Frozen. If they don't give Elsa a man by like the next movie, then I get all the fast. And as for Steven Universe, that started off really interesting, and then they did Steve, and then it came down to the end and basically turned out to be like a whole bunch of mental disturbingness that wasn't fun at all. That's what it was. Avatar was already demonstrating that girl power could coexist with rich, emotionally intelligent storytelling. Its impact was not just in who it represented, it was how it did so, giving its girls real agency, narrative weight, and inner worlds. Oh God. God. 2 decades later, it is fair to ask if kids' media has learned from Avatar: The Last Airbender. The answer is sort of. In the wake of Avatar's success, Western animation began to embrace more female-led narrative. Series like She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I have never heard anybody say anything good about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I never watched it myself because I just knew it was crap, but I have never heard anybody say anything good about it. Never, not a single solitary person. They go talk about Dragon Prince. Um, I guess Dragon Prince started off interesting and then it just dragged on till, like last season came out, they are watching and I'm like, do you even care anymore? It's honest with you. And How to Train Your Dragon. Uh, yeah, but she's an interesting character. I'm not saying no, but yeah, sure, it is great. But what does that have to do with anything else otherwise? Uh, Giving girls center stage as both main and side characters in adventurous, complex plots. These shows push boundaries in both gender and queer representation. Of course, because that's all She-Ra and Princesses of Power was about. So people supposed to care about that. And they were creative depth to the trail Avatar blazed. That said, the degree to which female strength is portrayed with variety, as it was in Avatar, is still not universally consistent. Too often, strong girls in modern media still fall into narrow molds like the spunky tomboy, the stoic warrior, or the misunderstood rebel. What Avatar did was show a spectrum of femininity from Toph's brash confidence to Genora's quiet insight without demeaning one form over another. That kind of balance remains rare even now. Like, isn't, oh God, no. Our anime has been more hit or miss, while certain series like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer feature capable female characters. They often still play second fiddle to their male counterparts. Exceptions like Yona of the Dawn or Sailor Moon highlight that the medium can tell complex stories centered on female strength, but these remain outliers. Sailor Moon isn't really all that complex, but whatever. In contrast, Avatar integrated its female characters not as exception, but as part of the fundamental world order. That's the bar it's set, and many shows have yet to reach it. Avatar: The Last Airbender did not just break new ground, it planted seeds. It proved that strong female characters could be central. Look, you know what? I'm not even going to go through this anymore. Look, Avatar: The Last Airbender was about Aang, who was on a quest to save the world because the Fire Nation had disrupted the balance. That was it. Yes, it had strong female characters. Okay, but trying to act like, all these characters, yeah, suddenly been because of Avatar. I mean, like I say, I've never heard anybody say anything good about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Never. Not a single person I've ever heard say anything good about it. Yes, they all had interesting characters and all that, but you had Aang, you had Sokka, you had Zuko, and Zuko on now one of the best arcs in all of Avatar. He started off as a bad guy, but he didn't want to be evil. He was just forced into it. He had to reach that point where he had to become good. He had to go on that journey of redemption, all of that. You don't get that much anymore. Each one of them had their own unique things about them. Katara was a unique character. Toph was a unique character. But they all came together to make up something. It wasn't just, well, okay, that is just it and then it's done. No, and then trying to act like, like Azula was some kind of role model for anybody is insanity. She was literally crazy. Even literal Uncle Iroh said she's crazy and she needs to go down. That's what it was. She was a manipulative, crazy, destructive sycophant. That's what she was. So apparently, like I say, I missed something because it seems that, Avatar was some kind of female empowerment, something or another, or whatever the hell ScreenRant was trying to say here, but it just doesn't add up. I've watched every episode of Avatar The Last Airbender, and I could tell you, as much as all the female characters were good and important, this show wasn't anything to do with any kind of female empowerment. You had shows for years doing all them kind of stuff. You had like Kim Possible, Powerpuff Girls. Even before that, years ago, you had what Maxie's World and She-Ra, a whole bunch of other stuff. You had shows like that, but for some reason, I feel like this was somehow breaking some mold. No, it was just a great show with great characters all around. That was it. But no, they're trying to make it into something it isn't. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.